Okay. Then the approach also is in terms of industrial development as well. You're building value chains into clusters. I liked in particular what Dr. Prinsloo presented in terms of the roadmap, because now how you formulate a cluster, you take one roadmap and say, okay, we'd like to take on, maybe, I'm just making an example, the LED screen making path, and you look at then what do you need in terms of technology, what other things that you need to do in between, and how do you get to that market, and you form a cluster around that. The type of infrastructure, what this program will do for you, the infrastructure that you need, manufacturing, testing, and maybe other studies, feasibility studies that you'll need to do, then will take part. But you have to make sure that at the end of it, part of your cluster are industries that are already in this field, where now the technology developers or the CSIR then becomes the knowledge hub in terms of driving this particular industry. As I'm explaining this example, that talks then to a small scale of village industries. It talks to functional regions, smart or specialization strategies, which already, I think they are in place, strategic partnerships and long-term planning. That road mapping for me was just a wow, because at the end of the day, you can just say, let's focus on this and move along the entire value chain. And the definition of clusters, it's agglomeration of companies, either companies, suppliers, providers, associated institutions, depending. Because with this one, we also realized it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a situation. So you'll have to agglomerate according to what then becomes your need in terms of infrastructure, in terms of support, then we will sort of support that clustering process. And what I wanted to emphasize from this slide is that we are going to use it as a tool for sectoral growth and to create new industries. Can I just say that about this slide? And just go further to the cluster models, where in terms of cluster models, you'll see whether it's a horizontal clustering where similar businesses will say, okay, we need warehousing infrastructure overseas for our, for easy export. Then you agglomerate as that group to do that. Vertical value chains is when you have similar sort of, you are in the same value chain where others are providing input, others are doing the process, others are doing the processing and taking out the product. What then tentatively happens there, in this, with the vertical cluster modeling, I look at things like drug development, for instance, where you'll have people who have drug formulations, and there will be a center as a conglomerate. You then have a testing facility where all the people who have their drug formulations can use this. And eventually you come out of a testing facility, you then go on and manufacture your own combinations. So it could be in that sense. The third one could be a triple helix kind of arrangement where, just like how we do it in THRIP, you have a technology development group, and you have a number of companies that are interested or need to use that particular technology, and you apply for specific small-scale manufacturing, whatever it is that then you'll be looking for. Sometimes an anchor firm can then be the lead in then forming a cluster. This you see an example of around Sasol in Vaal, where all your plastics or polymers companies are agglomerated around Sasol there because of different needs and inputs into the processes. And also what we fund, lastly, on the cluster model is the cluster management office, because we realize somebody has to put all this together. We still don't have a mechanism where we are saying we will support somebody who then drives the communication of all the necessary partners that needs to be in the cluster. But as soon as the application has been put through to the DTI and you have been approved, some funding is allocated to the Cluster Management Office, which we deem as probably CEO